Overthinking is something almost everyone experiences at some point in their lives. You may find yourself lying in bed at night, replaying conversations, analyzing every word you said, or worrying about decisions you haven't even made yet. Perhaps you've thought about whether you chose the right career, or whether the text you sent was interpreted the wrong way, or maybe you keep going back to an old mistake that you wish you could change. The mind has a way of running in circles, repeating scenarios and what-ifs until the process feels exhausting. This is the essence of overthinking, when your mind doesn't just think, but thinks too much, often beyond what is useful or necessary. The interesting thing is that thinking itself is not the problem. Thinking is how we solve problems, plan ahead, and make sense of our experiences. The problem arises when thinking no longer serves those purposes, but instead traps us. Imagine a car engine left running without moving the car forward. It burns fuel, creates heat, and makes noise, but it gets you nowhere. Overthinking works in the same way. It consumes your mental energy, makes you feel stressed or anxious, and keeps you stuck rather than helping you move toward a solution. At its core, overthinking is tied to the human brain's ability to anticipate and reflect. We evolved this capacity as a survival advantage. Early humans who could anticipate danger, imagine outcomes, and plan accordingly were more likely to survive. But in modern life, where many threats are not physical but psychological, such as worrying about relationships, finances, or future success, this same capacity can turn against us. The mind starts to prepare for every possible outcome, replaying events in an attempt to control uncertainty. In reality, though, life is uncertain, and overthinking only magnifies the discomfort instead of resolving it. Overthinking usually shows up in two main forms. One is rumination, where you dwell on the past, replaying events, conversations, or mistakes, asking yourself why things happened and wishing you had acted differently. The other is worry, which is future-oriented and involves imagining negative scenarios, questioning what might go wrong, and trying to control outcomes before they even occur. Both patterns may feel different, but they are two sides of the same coin. Rumination holds you back by chaining you to the past, while worry prevents you from fully engaging in the present because you are caught up in possible futures. People often ask themselves why they overthink so much. One reason is perfectionism. Perfectionists believe that if they analyze enough, plan enough, or prepare enough, they can avoid mistakes or discomfort. But perfection is unattainable, and the endless cycle of analysis usually leaves them drained. Another reason is fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of uncertainty. Overthinking feels like a way to gain control, but in truth, it only highlights how little control we have over everything. Past experiences can also play a role. If someone has gone through trauma, rejection, or significant mistakes in the past, they may believe that constant analysis will protect them from repeating those experiences. Unfortunately, instead of protecting them, overthinking just keeps the old wounds alive. Overthinking has very real effects on mental health. It contributes to anxiety because the mind is constantly imagining what could go wrong. It fuels depression because rumination keeps negative memories and self-criticism alive. It disturbs sleep as racing thoughts make it hard to rest. It reduces productivity since decision-making becomes paralyzed by the fear of making the wrong choice, and it erodes self-confidence because you start to doubt every move you make. The brain becomes a place of constant noise, leaving very little space for peace. It is important to understand that overthinking is not a sign of weakness. It is a habit, and like any habit, it can be changed with awareness and practice. But before we talk about how to stop it, it helps to understand how it works inside the brain. When you overthink, your prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for reasoning and planning, becomes overactive. It keeps searching for solutions and analyzing details. Meanwhile, the amygdala, the part linked to fear and emotions, sends signals of potential threat. Together, they create a loop where you feel anxious, and in response, you think more, which only makes you feel more anxious. This loop continues until you consciously interrupt it. So how do we interrupt it? One of the most powerful steps is awareness. Many times, people don't even realize they are overthinking It feels like normal thinking until you stop and notice that you've been replaying the same scenario for the last 20 minutes. By labeling it, saying to yourself, "I am overthinking," you shine a light on the process. Awareness doesn't solve it instantly, but it creates the possibility of change. Another key step is shifting perspective. Ask yourself, is this thought useful? If the answer is yes, then it may guide you toward an action. If the answer is no, if it is only making you anxious or replaying the past, then you know it's time to redirect your focus. A simple question like, can I do something about this right now, can be incredibly clarifying. If you can act, take action. If you can't, then continuing to think about it serves no purpose. One practical tool that helps with overthinking is writing. When thoughts are trapped in your mind, they bounce around endlessly, creating noise. But when you write them down, you create distance. The thoughts are no longer circling inside your head. They are on paper where you can see them. This not only clears mental space, but also allows you to evaluate whether the thoughts are realistic or exaggerated. Mindfulness practices are also powerful in breaking the cycle of overthinking. Mindfulness teaches you to observe thoughts without getting pulled into them. Imagine sitting by a river and watching leaves float by. Each leaf is a thought. Instead of chasing the leaf or diving into the river, you simply watch it float past. This is the attitude mindfulness cultivates, allowing thoughts to come and go without judgment. Over time, this practice trains the brain not to cling to every thought, reducing the intensity of overthinking. Movement can also be a simple but effective way to interrupt rumination. Going for a walk, exercising, or even engaging in a hobby shifts your attention from the mind to the body or to the activity itself. The act of moving reminds your brain that life is happening right now, not in the endless replay of the past or the imagined scenarios of the future. Sometimes people think that if they stop overthinking, they might lose their ability to prepare, plan, or reflect. But stopping overthinking doesn't mean you stop thinking. It means you think effectively. Instead of circling the same ideas endlessly, you make space for clarity. Productive thinking has direction. It leads to decisions, actions, or insights. Overthinking has no direction. It keeps you stuck. The goal is not to silence the mind completely, but to guide it toward thoughts that serve you rather than harm you. When you learn to let go of overthinking, you begin to reclaim control of your life. You sleep better because your mind isn't racing. You make decisions more confidently because you are not second-guessing every detail. You feel lighter because you're no longer dragging the weight of the past or the fear of the future. Most importantly, you reconnect with the present moment, and the present is where life actually happens.